Yajuj and Majuj are the Chinese race. And the great wall that was built by Dhul-Qarnayn is the wall of China. And this notion spread as well back in that era, because he as well, the scholar, again, I grant him credit that he realized the traditional interpretation doesn't make sense. So he said, we need to rethink through this. So he attempted to rethink through, and frankly, for his time and place, it was a bold move because he was criticized by mainstream Sunnism. Mainstream Sunni scholars said, no, we believe in this and that. But he wanted to, again, salvage the tradition. Of course, what is the problem with believing that Yajuj and Majuj are the Chinese folks and the Great Wall in the Quran is the Great Wall of China? What is the problem with this interpretation? Who can tell me? I like this. Chinese Muslims, no, that's not the biggest problems. We have other bigger problems than this. That's not a problem in this case. I mean, where does one begin with the problems of this interpretation? Where does one begin? There are so many problems with this interpretation. I mean, of the problems of this interpretation is that we know exactly who built the Great Wall. And he wasn't a believer in Allah. Jin Shu Shuao. He wasn't a believer in Allah, the famous emperor. He was one of the pagans of the, Shinto, whatever religion it was. And the Great Wall was actually built to protect the Chinese people from within, not from without. And the Great Wall is not a barrier that is impenetrable. People go in and out all the time. In fact, gasp, shock, I myself have gone in and out of the Great Wall. I in fact did a video that went viral 2 years ago. I took a group to China 3 years ago. And I stood on the Great Wall, and I have a video, YouTube clip. Is the Great Wall of China the wall of Yajuj and Majuj? You can look at it yourself. And I said, no, it's not, don't worry. It's not the Great Wall of there. So, this as well, it doesn't make sense, neither heads nor tails, Nasar naper, literally, neither heads nor tails. Doesn't make any sense. The wall of Yajuj and Majuj is not the wall of China in any stretch of the imagination. It doesn't make sense as well. Where does this leave us? Another group of, let's finish this one. I know I promised Q&A. Let me finish this up. Another group says, and this is something that I have heard myself, some ulama say, that perhaps Yajuj and Majuj are not on earth, but under earth. That's why the satellites haven't discovered them. And this, again, I appreciate the salvaging, I really do. But how can human beings survive? No vegetation, no plants with the sun, no oxygen, food, drink, thousands of years. And according to these traditions, we're talking about gazillions of people. What is the answer to this conundrum of Yajuj and Majuj? I will disappoint you by saying there is no clear-cut answer. But wallahi, to struggle with the truth and to admit the struggle is a safer position than to invent something that is far-fetched and then pretend that it is answering the problems. I don't have a solution to Yajuj and Majuj. I am personally skeptical, maybe because of my own upbringing and I have a degree in engineering. I understand mathematics and chemistry and geology, and I just find it. Now, you can quote back, Allah ala kulli shayin qadir. And I say, indeed, Allah ala kulli shayin qadir. But are we obliged to believe that Yajuj and Majuj are billions of people under the earth? This is my point. If the text told us explicitly, sami'na wa ata'na. But when the texts don't tell us this, can we rethink through and say this? So I conclude with two opinions. The first of which is plausible, the second of which is even embarrassing to mention, but I will mention it. As for the plausible one, Allah knows best. Perhaps, this notion of a living tribe of Yajuj and Majuj is not correct. Because if you look at all of the traditions, there is only one tradition that is in Tirmidhi with one isnad that mentions that Yajuj and Majuj are daily digging. And every single day they're told to go back. All the other traditions don't mention a living Yajuj and Majuj. As for the hadith in Bukhari that the wall has been opened, that could be a wall. It could be, in this case, see, to what level of metaphor is allowed? Ijtihadi. If it were to be said, a wall has been opened is a metaphor that indeed Yajuj and Majuj is now closer to you. Personally, I don't see this as that much of a stretch than to interpret all the hadith to mean Yajuj and Majuj are symbolic in nature. But again, it's ijtihadi. The only tradition that mentions Yajuj and Majuj are alive right now, and they are digging through every single day, is a solitary narration in Tirmidhi and also in other books, but the same isnad. And I did my research for this because this is problematic, and I have to say I was relieved to find classical scholars, some of them did problematize this hadith. Ibn Kathir amongst them, who said that this tradition seems to be, it's an illah or a hidden defect, that it is not from the Prophet ﷺ. It might be coming from the Israeliyat, because Abu Huraira also studied with Ka'b al-Ahbar. Ka'b al-Ahbar was the son of a rabbi, and he would narrate Israeliyat, and Abu Huraira would listen to him and narrate. And one of the students of Abu Huraira assumed it to be from the Prophet ﷺ. This is Ibn Kathir saying this, not me. So he said, perhaps this is from the Israeliyat. And this is what I firmly believe, simply because it is highly problematic to posit that there are billions of people somewhere in today's world clawing away. So the first interpretation, which is posited by a group of people, let's just leave it like that. A very wise person once said, let's just leave it like that.